The poisoned princess, the diplomatic vessel New Horizon, hummed quietly through the star-filled void, its massive hull reflecting the distant light of the Zarian system. Inside the main conference chamber, history was being made. For the first time in human existence, Earth's representatives sat across from beings from another world, negotiating a peace treaty that would determine the fate of both civilizations. Marcus. Chun adjusted his collar nervously as he reviewed the xenobiological data on his tablet. At 32, he was the youngest member of the diplomatic team, but his expertise in alien biology had made him invaluable to the mission. His dark hair was slightly disheveled from hours of studying, and his brown eyes reflected the weight of responsibility he carried. Across the polished metal table sat Princess Zara Valinafi, heir to the crystal throne of Zarian. She was breathtaking, in an otherworldly way, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer with an inner light, silver hair that moved like liquid mercury, and eyes the color of deep ocean waters. Her elegant features were both familiar and alien, creating a sense of beauty that transcended species. She wore flowing robes of deep purple that seemed to shift and change color as she moved. Captain Thorne, a grizzled veteran of the Earth Defense Force, led the human delegation. His weathered face bore the scars of countless battles, but today he wore the expression of a man seeking peace rather than war. Beside him sat Dr. Alina Rodriguez, the mission's chief medical officer, her keen eyes constantly observing the alien physiology of their guests. The negotiations had been proceeding well for 3 days. Both sides wanted peace after the devastating border skirmishes that had cost lives on both planets. The Zarians possessed advanced crystal technology that could revolutionize human energy systems, while Earth offered agricultural knowledge that could help feed Zirion's growing population. Princess Zara had been instrumental in the talks. Her diplomatic skills and genuine desire for peace helping to bridge the gap between the species. Marcus found himself impressed by her intelligence and grace, though he tried to maintain professional distance. The stakes were too high for personal feelings to interfere. The mineral rights agreement seems acceptable to both parties, Princess Zara said, her voice carrying a musical quality that was characteristic of her people. However, my advisors have concerns about the proposed settlement boundaries. High Commander Crix, the princess's military escort, stood silent in the corner. His massive frame was encased in ceremonial armor that gleamed with embedded crystals, and his 4 arms were crossed in a gesture that spoke of perpetual vigilance. His people's natural warrior instincts made him suspicious of every human movement. Marcus was taking notes when he noticed something alarming. Princess Zara's normally radiant skin was beginning to fade, taking on a grayish tint that he recognized from his biological studies as a sign of distress in her species. Her breathing had become shallow, and her elegant posture was beginning to slump. "Princess Zara," Marcus said, setting down his tablet, "are you feeling all right?" She looked up at him, and he saw confusion in her deep blue eyes. I feel strange," she admitted, her voice wavering. "Dizzy and weak." Dr. Rodriguez immediately stood up, her medical training taking over. "May I examine you, Your Highness?" Before Zara could answer, she suddenly pitched forward, her body convulsing violently. High Commander Crix moved with surprising speed for his size, catching her before she hit the table. Her skin was now a pale gray, and her breathing was rapid and shallow. "Medical emergency." Captain Thorne barked into his communicator. "All hands, we have a medical emergency in Conference Room Alpha." Marcus rushed to Zara's side, his xenobiological training kicking in. He pulled out his portable scanner and ran it over her body, the device beeping frantically as it detected anomalies in her biological systems. What he saw made his blood run cold. "She's been poisoned," he announced, his voice tight with concern. "The scanner is detecting elevated levels." of Xerian neurotoxin in her bloodstream. High Commander Crix's 4 eyes blazed with fury. Impossible. She was protected. Every food item, every drink was tested. Dr. Rodriguez joined them, her own medical scanner adding to the cacophony of alarms. The toxin is spreading rapidly through her nervous system. At this rate, she has maybe 15 minutes before complete organ failure. Marcus's mind raced through everything he knew about Xerian physiology. The neurotoxin was one of the most dangerous substances known to their species, originally developed as a weapon during their ancient civil wars. It attacked the nervous system directly, causing paralysis and death within minutes. "Do we have any antidote aboard?" Captain Thorne demanded. "No," Dr. Rodriguez replied grimly. "The antidote requires compounds that only exist on Xerian. We'd need to get her back to her home planet, and that's a 3-day journey at maximum speed." Marcus continued scanning, his scientific mind working frantically. The toxin was indeed spreading, but it was doing so in a predictable pattern. It started at the point of introduction and moved through the bloodstream toward the vital organs. If they could somehow extract the poisoned blood before it reached her heart. "Wait," Marcus said suddenly, an idea forming. "The toxin hasn't reached her cardiac system yet. If we could remove the contaminated blood from her circulatory system." "How?" Dr. Rodriguez asked. "We don't have the equipment for a complete blood transfusion, and we don't have compatible blood anyway." Marcus looked at Princess Zara's rapidly deteriorating condition. Her breathing was becoming more labored, and her skin was taking on alarming translucent quality. Time was running out. "Human digestive systems," Marcus said suddenly. "Our livers are incredibly efficient at processing toxins. If I could extract the poisoned blood and process it through my own system." "That's insane," Dr. Rodriguez protested. "We don't know how the toxin would affect human physiology. We know it's protein-based," Marcus replied, his voice gaining confidence. "My liver should be able to break it down." "It's her only chance." High Commander Crix stepped forward menacingly. "Human, you would dare to suggest such a thing? To consume the blood of royal lineage?" "I'm suggesting we save her life," Marcus replied firmly. "Whatever cultural concerns you have can be addressed later." Captain Thorne looked between Marcus and the dying princess. "Can you do it safely?" "I think so," Marcus said. "The toxin concentration isn't high enough to kill a human, especially if I process it in small amounts. But we need to act now." "Doctor." Rodriguez reluctantly prepared a small extraction device. "This is completely against protocol, but if it's her only chance, ... Marcus positioned himself next to Princess Zara, who was now barely conscious. Her eyes found his, and he saw both fear and a strange trust in their depths. "I'm going to help you," he said softly. "Just hold on." He made a small incision in her arm, where the scanner showed the highest concentration of toxin. The blood that emerged was darker than normal, almost black with contamination. Marcus steeled himself, knowing that every second counted. Without hesitation, he placed his mouth over the wound and began to draw out the poisoned blood. The taste was unlike anything he had ever experienced, metallic and bitter, with an energy that seemed to spark against his tongue. He forced himself to swallow, feeling the alien blood burn down his throat. The effect was immediate. Princess Zara's color began to return. Her breathing became easier, and her convulsions stopped. Marcus continued the process, drawing out more of the contaminated blood and processing it through his own system. Each swallow was more difficult than the last, but he could see it was working. Finally, his scanner showed that the toxin levels in her system had dropped to non-lethal levels. Princess Zara's eyes fluttered open, and she looked up at him with wonder and confusion. You saved me," she whispered, her voice still weak, but gaining strength. Marcus wiped the blood from his lips. feeling dizzy from the alien toxin in his own system. "Just doing my job," he said, though he had to steady himself against the table. It was then that Princess Zara's expression changed from gratitude to something that looked like shock and horror. She sat up suddenly, her renewed strength surprising everyone in the room. "You drank my blood," she said, her voice carrying a tone that made everyone freeze. "I had to," Marcus replied, confused by her reaction. "It was the only way to save you." Princess Zara stared at him for a long moment, her ocean blue eyes wide with an emotion he couldn't identify. When she spoke again, her voice was barely above a whisper. "Do you know what that means on my planet?" The blood bond revelation. The silence in the conference room was deafening. Even the ship's ambient humming seemed to fade away as Princess Zara's words hung in the air like a dangerous storm cloud. Marcus felt his stomach drop, though he wasn't sure if it was from the alien toxin he had consumed or from the growing realization that he had made a terrible mistake. "What does it mean?" he asked, his voice hoarse from the blood he had swallowed. Princess Zara rose to her feet, her movements fluid and graceful, now that the poison had been purged from her system. However, her face bore an expression of complete shock, as if she had just witnessed something impossible. High Commander Crix stepped forward, his forearms tensing as if preparing for battle. "Princess," the commander said, his voice carrying a warning tone. Surely the human did not understand the significance of his actions. "That's exactly the problem," Zara replied, her voice gaining strength, but also carrying a tremor of something that might have been fear. "He didn't understand, but the action has been completed nonetheless." Dr. Rodriguez, who had been monitoring Marcus's vital signs, looked up from her scanner. "Marcus, your biochemistry is showing some unusual fluctuations. Whatever that toxin was, it's interacting with your system in ways we didn't anticipate." Marcus felt a strange warmth spreading through his chest, as if something was awakening inside him. "I feel different," he admitted, "like there's something new in my blood." Princess Zara turned to face him fully, her eyes searching his face as if looking for something specific. "On Zirian, blood is sacred. It carries not just life, but the essence of who we are. Our blood contains what you might call genetic memory, emotional resonance, and spiritual energy." Captain Thorne, who had been listening intently, stepped forward. "Princess, I need to understand what we're dealing with here. What exactly has happened?" Zara took a deep breath, her silver hair catching the light as she moved. "When someone willingly consumes the blood of a Zarian, especially royal blood, it creates what we call a Velanathi, a soul bond. It's our most sacred form of union, reserved for life partners and the deepest spiritual connections." Marcus felt as if the floor had dropped out from under him. "Are you saying that by saving your life, I accidentally married her, High Commander?" Crix finished, his voice filled with barely contained fury. "By the ancient laws of Zarian, you are now bound to the princess as her life mate." The room erupted in chaos. Captain Thorne began pacing, running his hands through his graying hair. Dr. Rodriguez nearly dropped her scanner in shock. Other crew, members who had arrived during the medical emergency, began murmuring among themselves. "This is a disaster," Captain Thorne muttered. "The peace treaty, the diplomatic mission, this changes everything." But Marcus was focused on Princess Zara. He could feel something strange happening to him, as if his awareness was expanding beyond his own body. He was beginning to sense her emotions, her thoughts, her very presence in a way that was both wonderful and terrifying. "I can feel you," he said suddenly, his voice filled with wonder. "Your emotions, your thoughts. How is this possible?" Princess Zara's eyes widened. "The bond is already forming. Normally, it takes days of ceremony and preparation. But the circumstances, the poison, the desperate nature of the act, it's accelerated the process." High Commander Crix moved to place himself between Marcus and the princess. This cannot be allowed to stand. The princess is promised to Prince Valder of the Northern Crystals. This union would cement the peace between our largest kingdoms. Crix, Princess Zara said softly, the bond cannot be undone. It's not a political arrangement or a contract. It's a fundamental change in our very beings. Marcus stood up, still feeling the effects of the toxin, but gaining strength from the strange new energy flowing through him. I didn't know, he said, addressing everyone in the room. I was trying to save her life. I would never have taken such an action if I had understood the consequences. Your intentions matter little now, Crix replied harshly. The damage is done. The princess's honor, her future, her very destiny has been altered by your ignorance. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her scientific mind trying to process the situation. Princess, you say this bond is more than ceremonial. Are there physical effects? Changes in biology? Princess Zara nodded, her expression growing more serious. The blood bond creates a permanent connection between the two beings. We will share emotions, thoughts, even physical sensations to some degree. Our life forces become intertwined. Marcus felt a sudden wave of sadness wash over him, and he realized it wasn't his own emotion but hers. She was mourning the loss of her predetermined future, the political marriage that would have secured peace for her people. I'm sorry, he said, stepping toward her, despite Crix's intimidating presence. I never wanted to hurt you or disrupt your life. If there's any way to reverse this. There isn't, she replied, but her voice was gentler now. Marcus, you saved my life. Whatever the consequences, I am grateful for that. The bond may be unexpected, but it was formed through an act of pure sacrifice. Captain Thorne activated his communicator. Bridge, this is the captain. I need immediate contact with Earth Command. We have a diplomatic situation that requires highest-level consultation. As the captain spoke, Marcus noticed that his connection to Princess Zara was growing stronger. He could sense her complex emotions. Gratitude for being saved, worry about the political implications, curiosity about him as a person, and something else that surprised him. Attraction. You can sense it too, can't you? She asked quietly, moving closer to him. Marcus nodded, feeling heat rise in his cheeks. This is all very confusing. I'm not sure how to process any of this. On Zarian, we believe that the universe guides us toward our destiny, Princess Zara said. Perhaps this was meant to happen, despite how it appears. High Commander Crix's communicator buzzed with an incoming message. His expression grew even more grim as he listened. Princess, I have received word from the royal court. Your father, the High Emperor, has learned of recent events. He is displeased. How could he already know? Captain Thorne asked. Our neural communication crystals allow for instantaneous communication across vast distances, Crix explained. The princess's vital signs are monitored constantly. When she nearly died and then suddenly recovered, it triggered automatic alerts. Princess Zara's face paled. What did you tell him? I told him the truth, Crix replied, that a human saved your life through extraordinary means, and that the method has created complications. Marcus felt a surge of fear through the bond, though he wasn't sure if it was his own or Zara's. What kind of complications? The Emperor has ordered the immediate return of the princess to Zarian, Crix announced. He will determine how to handle this situation. Dr. Rodriguez checked her scanner again. The biochemical changes in Marcus are still progressing. His cellular structure is actually adapting to accommodate the alien elements from Princess Zara's blood. What does that mean? Marcus asked, though he was beginning to suspect he already knew. It means the bond is becoming permanent at a biological level, Princess Zara explained. Your body is accepting the connection, making it impossible to sever even if we wanted to. Captain Thorne closed his communicator with a frustrated sigh. Earth Command wants both of you in quarantine until they can fully assess the situation. The peace treaty is on hold until we understand the full implications of this bond. Marcus looked around the room at the faces of his colleagues and the alien delegation. Some showed curiosity, others concern, and a few displayed barely concealed hostility. He realized that his impulsive act to save Princess Zara had potentially jeopardized the most important diplomatic mission in human history. "I need to speak with Princess Zara alone," he said suddenly. "If we're truly bonded, then we need to understand what that means for both our peoples." High Commander Crix stepped forward threateningly. "That is not acceptable. The princess cannot be left alone with." "Crix," Princess Zara said firmly, "he is no longer just a human. He is my bonded partner, whether we chose it or not. I will speak with him." The commander's 4 eyes blazed with fury, but he stepped back reluctantly. "Very well, Princess, but I will remain nearby." As the others filed out of the conference room, Marcus found himself alone with Princess Zara for the first time since the bonding. The silence between them was not uncomfortable, but it was charged with possibility and uncertainty. "I can feel your confusion," she said softly, settling into a chair across from him. "The bond allows me to sense your emotional state." "It's overwhelming," Marcus admitted. "I keep feeling emotions that I'm not sure are mine. And there's something else, like a presence in my mind that wasn't there before." Princess Zara nodded. "That's my consciousness touching yours. It will become more pronounced as the bond strengthens. Eventually, we'll be able to communicate telepathically across great distances." Marcus leaned forward, studying her face. "Are you angry with me? For changing your life without your consent?" She was quiet for a long moment, and he could feel her internal struggle through the bond. "I should be angry," she said finally. "My life had been planned since birth. I was to marry Prince Valder, unite our kingdoms, and rule as Empress. But, Marcus prompted, "but I have never felt more alive than I do R**."